This is a question we have to ask ourselves, my dear brothers and sisters. If we're practitioners of spirituality, I think it is time that we change our mental outlook on life. In Vedanta, there is something that is very, very important. And I want you to repeat after me. Yatha, say that everyone. Yatha. Drishti. Tatha. Srishti. Yatha drishti tatha srishti. That simply means, like the vision in my mind, so the world that I see. Isn't that true? If I ask all of you, where is this world right now existing? What would you say? Right here, isn't that right? Outside of me. I can feel everything around me. The microphone is there and everything. But if I tell you that the world is not there, what would you say? They say, mind is my proper mind. Like, my dear brothers and sisters, the world is a projection in our mind. Look at it, my dear brothers and sisters. Look at the world that you see. Look at the body that you have, the book in front of you, the harmonium, the tabla, the dhola, whatever you may have, the computer, whatever is in front of you right now. These things are not outside of you, my dear brothers and sisters. Think about it. These things are but happening within your mind. Is there anything that can take place outside of your mind? Tell you the truth. No. So when your thoughts are just on Sri Ram, whenever you have a tough time in life, simply remembering the lotus-like eyes of the Lord, simply remembering the Lord's bow and arrow, simply remembering everything that is beautiful about the Lord, how can there ever be any dark thoughts in your mind? You know, we're in the time of Adhik Mas, and you may have heard by now that this is an extra month given to us by the grace of God. Scientifically, there is reason also. You know, Hindus go by the lunar calendar, isn't it true? And how many days does the lunar calendar have? Anybody know? 354 days. And the solar or the Gregorian calendar that we use in normal day parlance, how many days does that have? Tell me. 365, isn't that right? So when you subtract 365 from 354, what do you guess I reach? 11, very good. Man, I'm smart man. So 11, my dear brothers and sisters. So when you have 11 days gap, okay, 11-day gap, from year 1, year 2, from the third year now, how many days are gap? Tell me. About 22 to 26 to 30 days, isn't that right? So that is why every 2.5 years, the Hindu calendar gets an extra month. That is because it needs to balance out. In accounting terms, a whole month is accrued and added where it's needed. So it balances from the Gregorian to the lunar. That is why. But many people, my dear brothers and sisters, and forgive me, many people will tell you, oh my Lord, Adhik Mas? Very bad month. You see, my dear brothers and sisters, I want to tell you very abundantly clearly. In all of my years in studying in India, which was only 2.5 years, not any long span of time, I want to tell you that first of all, as I always say when I sit in an asana, I don't know anything. Don't think I went to India and I know something. I don't know anything. I'm done with it. But I understand one thing from my whole trip in India, meeting all of the great saints and sages who follow Adi Shankara Acharya's lineage, starting from Lord Shiva himself. None of them ever told me, my dear brothers and sisters, that there's an inauspicious day on the Hindu calendar. None of them ever said that in all of my study. And if it's one thing I took away from India, my dear friends, is to be fearless when it comes to my love for the Lord. I want you to remember one thing, and if you take this home out of everything we just discussed today, I think that will be enough. Repeat after me. When there is, say everybody, fear in my mind, there can never be love, faith, unconditional bliss. That is God in my heart. That is the formula, my dear brothers and sisters. So understand, whenever someone would tell you, and it's not to knock anybody, because we've grown up with this fear. Pitripaksh, oh my God. Zombie, I can't go 6. My dear brothers and sisters, this is not religion. This is what we call superstition. And what has happened from the generations that have come from India, God bless them, because they were noble, they were Gyanis, they knew religion. But because of distortion in where we've come from in Guyana, from people who didn't want to study properly, and the key word is study, what has happened is religion has become superstition. I'll tell you a small incident that happened, and it's a true story, okay? Don't laugh. You will want to laugh, as a matter of fact, and you can. One day I was at a wedding, and I was doing this wedding, and I see one black cat tie up in the car, under a laundry basket. So, Matikor night, I see the black cat there, and I say, oh, this is strange. Anyway, I didn't think much of it. I come back to wedding day now, see the same black cat, same laundry basket up on top, on a rope tie up on the tree. I said to myself, something is wrong here. I have to inquire, I have to ask. So I asked one of them, and I said, Hare Bhaiya, tell me, what is a cat doing there under a laundry basket? For 2 days now I'm seeing this. He said, well, you didn't know. We can't do wedding without the black cat and the laundry basket and the tie and the tree. I said, what? Why? He said, well, my great-great-grandmother told me that I have to do this. And when I asked the elder person, the young person didn't know, they only followed, they didn't know. When I asked the elder person now, guess what he said? You see, what they don't know is a long time ago, there was a black cat that was creating mischief. And what they did was they caught the cat, they put it under the laundry basket, tied it to a tree so the cat can't leave. And ever since then, that tradition stuck with this family. So whenever there's a wedding in this family, guess what got to be there? Or else God not gonna bless this one. Black cat and look, there's a cat over there. There's a cat right in the window. Anyway, there cannot be a cat. There has to be a cat on a laundry basket and everywhere. So, my dear brothers and sisters, we now see how our religion has turned into fear. When I asked another member of the family, I said, what if we were to remove that black cat now and the laundry basket? You know what the person blatantly said to me? We cannot do this wedding. This is what, and you know, I'm not even joking. That person, I'm not going to tell you their gender because it doesn't matter. That person was so steadfast and said, it's either you put that black cat there or you leave. But listen, the sentiments were not the total family sentiments about me leaving. They were like, hey, let's move the black cat because it is not our part of our religion. But it just goes to show you, my dear brothers and sisters, what our mind has become. If there's fear in your life, Adhik Mas, my dear friends, the other name for Adhik Mas is Purushottama Mas. This means a month dedicated to Lord Narayana, Bhagavan Vishnu. So whatever you do in this month, don't ask me if you get married. Don't ask me if you can do housewarming. But I'll tell you one thing. Whatever you do, put Bhagavan Vishnu first in this month so it becomes a habit for 24/7, 365 days a year. Does that make sense, my dear brothers and sisters? Because if we fear God, guess what? We're going to lose all of the youngsters from religion. You know why? Because they don't want to hear superstition. They want to hear what makes sense. And if I tell them not to do prayer during Pitri Paksh, and if I tell them not to get married during Adhik Mas, I'm losing them. It's as simple as that. And see, amen. My dear brothers and sisters, what I'm trying to say is this. When you have love in your heart, during Pitri Paksh, when you do your puja, not for yourself, but for your ancestors, and you tell your Lord, oh Lord, when there is love in my heart, there can never be fear in my heart. I must choose one today. And when I know that my Lord is an all-loving, all-compassionate Bhagavan, who is known to be Sat Chit Anand. Sat means existence. Chit means my ability to be aware. And Anand means this bliss that never ends. When I know my Lord to be all happiness, my dear brothers and sisters, tell me what day is inauspicious. Does this make sense? And when we did Lord Shiva Puja, another word for Lord Shiva is what? Mahakal. Isn't that true, Auntie Leila? The word Maha means what? Tell me, everybody. Great. Very good. And Kal means what? Time. Excellent. So when you put the two words together, what do you get? The great Lord of time. So whenever you look at your clock, whenever you see the day unfolding, whenever you see any moment in your life, my dear brothers and sisters, understand that all of it is Lord Shiva. Why? Because He is what? Tell me. Mahakal, the great Lord of time. And if my Lord is time, how can there be any day that is inauspicious? Do we see, my dear brothers and sisters, how we've been duped? The word duped means to be tricked. We've been tricked to fall out of love with God by so-called leaders who didn't study properly. That is the bottom line. But with the younger generation, my dear brothers and sisters, the buck stops here. Because we're no longer afraid of God. You know why? Because if there's fear of God, there cannot be faith. And who can ever tell us that we cannot pray to our God? Doing whatever the Lord will deem you to do. And where do I get this from? Something called Adi Shankara Acharya Ji Sadhana Panchakam, where it says, when you do Nitya Karma, Vedo Nityam Adhiyatam Taduditam Karma Swanushkiyatam. Nitya Karma, my dear brothers and sisters, means something that should be done every day. And there are 5 things that should be done every day. You know what they are? What is it? Deva Yagya, Pitra Yagya, Manushya Yagya, Brahma Yagya, and Bhuta Yagya. Brahma Yagya means, my dear brothers and sisters, study of your scriptures. Every day, you all who are seated here and everybody online, all of you should open up your Bhagavad Gita and read one verse and learn from the Gita. That's number 1. Brahma Yagya. Number 2, Deva Yagya. What is it? Tell me everybody. Deva Yagya means when I do puja and prayer to my Lord. Now again you may say, oh my God, somebody told me I can't do puja during Pitra Paksh and Adhik Maas. What am I going to do now? You know what I say to them? Those things are called Nitya Karma, things that should be done every day. And if you do puja during these times, it is simple. Pitra Paksh, dedicate your puja to the ancestors. Wish them well. Adhik Maas, dedicate this worship to the wonderful Lord Vishnu. So what is it? What is the yagya? That is the second one. Tell me everybody. Deva Yagya. Yes. Sarveshwara Lord, the master of it, the master of it. Deva Yagya. Everybody? Deva Yagya. Puja and prayer to my Lord. So why am I telling you this? Yes, very good, sir. Perfect. Why am I telling you this, my dear brothers and sisters? Because there will be people who will tell you, are you kidding me? Puja during Pitra Paksh? Puja during Adhik Maas? Moving into a new house? My dear brothers and sisters, what you will say when someone tells you that is, Adi Shankara Acharya prescribes that I do Nitya Karma. Nitya means every day. Karma means action. Action that should be done every day, fearlessly, steeped in faith and love, my Lord. Where there is faith and love, there cannot be any fear. So I should not be fearful of doing my puja anytime, because my Lord sees what's in my heart. And there are 5 Nitya Karmas. What are they? Brahma Yagya, everybody. Brahma Yagya means study of the scriptures. Number 2, Deva Yagya, everybody. Puja and prayer every day religiously. Number 3, Pitra Yagya, everybody. When I take some time to remember my ancestors and wish them well. Number 4, Bhuta Yagya. Everybody. Bhoot na means Jomi. Bhoot means lower life forms. Lower life forms like puppy, goldfish, you pick one. Sorry. You pick one. It could be any being or any creature that you're taking care of. That is Bhuti Yagya. And number 5, say this one, Manushya Yagya. Manush means mankind. When you take the time selflessly, without any expectation of anything in return, to serve a lesser fortunate individual. When you can take the time to teach somebody with no cost, number 1, because God has given you the knowledge. Number 2, when you can take the time to pick up the life of someone who can never pay you back. Think about it. When somebody pick up the phone and say, hey buddy, you help me with this thing? Usually, I'm not talking about anybody here. Usually if the body rich. Yes, buddy. Now go, no. Yes, it happens. But my dear brothers and sisters, if the body not get much money like me poor body, now watch me so. But if people like me castle body, like me castle rush, he rich, me poor. So me call me now and say, oh buddy, help me with this thing, no man. You know what he can tell me? Maybe next week. No, I'm just kidding. So my dear brothers and sisters, this is the sad state that we live in, my dear friends. This is the sad times that we're living in, where when only people of affluence were willing to help. Why? Because there's an expectation. But you know where God looks at your service? When you help someone who can never pay you back for what you've done. You understand? And when you see such a person serving, especially people who cannot help them back in any way, guess what? In your time of need, there is a Bhagavan that is bigger than any human. There is a God that is bigger than any virus. And there is a Bhagavan that is all-encompassing, that will bless you when your time is needed to be blessed. Do we understand that, my dear brothers and sisters? So in this way, I know the time is eating away so slow, but I'll be back, don't worry. I just want to let you know today one thing. Don't be afraid. When you're afraid, guess what happens? You're running away from God. I'm not saying don't be careful. That's a different thing, right? Wear your mask. The reason I'm not wearing a mask here is because I'm very far from you right now. But the moment I come down from here, guess what? I have my mask on. You see that? So in this way, we have to be this way. But what I'm saying is this, my dear brothers and sisters, that it's beyond the material. What I'm saying is, when someone comes to you and tells you don't pray during Pitra Paksh, you tell them one thing. What are you going to tell them?
With your mask.
When someone tells you not to pray during Pitra Paksh, you're going to say, I can't do that. What am I going to do? Play dominoes and cards? You understand? My dear brothers and sisters, you have to think. Hinduism is logical. And how many of you have mom and dad? Raise your hand. Is there any time, and I want you to listen to this very carefully, is there any time that you can't go to your mom, Chandani? Is there any time? You can go to her day, night, weekend, weekday, anytime. Isn't that true? If you pick up the phone self and call her, she's always available. Isn't that right? Okay, that's a different story. But here, let me ask you a question. If you ever wanted to give her something, right? If Chandni ever wanted to give her mother something, guess what? You will never ever reject it. Isn't that right? You can't. It's impossible. This is how God works, my dear brothers and sisters, and I'm leaving you with this point. Let us not think that God is in the sky ready to sin us. All of us are fearful of the Lord. But when you come in front of your Lord, my dear brothers and sisters, and when you sing in front of your Lord, and when your song becomes a living prayer to your Lord, my dear brothers and sisters, there will be no longer any fear. You know why? Because my Lord is like my mom and dad. I can go to them at any time, for any reason, whenever I want. My Lord is available. And when I realize that I have no fear in my mind for God, but only faith and unconditional love, whenever I realize that Lord Shiva is the great Lord of time, and my Lord expects me to do 5 things every day, read my scriptures, pray daily, which is called nitya karma. I want you to remember that word, nitya karma, doing things every day, and one of them are these 5 things. Reading the scriptures every day, praying to your Lord every day in the form of any worship that you want. And what is worship? Seeing the Lord everywhere. Doing service to mankind, lower beings, my dear brothers and sisters, and remembering your pitras. When you can do this every day, your Lord will bless you with a fearless mind, a faith-filled mind, and love in your heart. And what is the song that we sing that echoes this? The beautiful song says in closing, Karke swikar Prabhu, mera geet amar kar. Having accepted my song of love, O Lord, now make me eternal. It is the mind and body that is steeped in fear, but the deepest part of you, which is the witness, which is all happy, which is always blissful, it is that part of you that can never experience fear in your life. And instead of fear, only unconditional love can take place at that level within your own self. Nothing or no one in this world can make you happy. All happiness can only be experienced within yourself. That means that only God exists, and only that beautiful happiness that is within you is waiting to be unfolded. Don't depend on an object or a person. Depend upon yourself to release that every day, every moment in fearlessness. When you can do so, you will begin to make the lives of everyone around you blissful and happy.